How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. My name is Sean, and welcome to the Courageour Frights. By now, I'm sure most of you are aware that last month saw the return of Gamera after a 16-year hiatus in the form of a Netflix anime called Gamera Rebirth. Much like the Heisei Gamera trilogy, the giant fire-breathing turtle's origin is said to come from a lost sunken continent. However, unlike previous incarnations that have simply mentioned his creation in passing or in fan-made comics such as Matt Frank's short but excellent Gamera The Last Hope, this time Gamera and the origin of all kaiju in the series is much more closely examined with an official tie-in manga titled Gamera Rebirth Code Thyrsos. If you want to check out the first two volumes, be sure to watch my videos on those right here on this channel, which remain the only videos on this subject to my knowledge. The third installment, Chapter 2-2, begins where the last one left off, with Sika roaming the hall deep in thought about her role in the facility and what she actually is doing with her life when she overhears a commotion coming from the next room. We discover that Lucius and his uncle Aldol are having a heated argument over his meeting with the nobles at the cemetery in the last chapter. Lucius's uncle is furious with him and strikes him, imploring him to think of his sister and what will become of her if he leaves. But Lucius has made up his mind. Sika barges in and yells at her brother as well, but it's no use as he's determined to move to a place called Laptis in order to continue his research in a location that evidently has the means to achieve his goals, which the lab at the processing plant is unable to handle. Sika pleads with Lucius to stay, but no matter what she says to him, he only replies with sorry. At one point during their debate, Lucius removes the patch, revealing the scar across his face that he received 10 years ago while saving Sika's life, stating that while he doesn't expect her to understand, he implores her to at least understand that this pain is real and that the aristocracy will definitely end. Lucius walks out of the room despite his sister's protests and leaves them behind to further his research. Shortly after his departure, Sika is going through his belongings and comes across a book marked with their father's dagger charm from the first chapter. She begins sifting through the pages only to find that the contents are far too complex for her to understand. Cursing herself for neglecting her studies, she gets a newfound determination to learn everything her brother has learned over the years and apply herself to her own research. She rushes into her uncle's study where she startles the man who evidently had fallen asleep while studying and demands to be given all the resources given to Lucius so she can learn what he knows. Meanwhile, in Laptis, we witness another kaiju battle and see that Lucius is now working with the noble we've seen observing previous battles. The noble tells him that though Lucius is a commoner and not typically allowed to witness the kaiju battles, he has made a special exception for him given his advanced knowledge in the subject and gifted research abilities. Lucius swears that he will bring him victory as the chapter comes to an end. This was a bit of a short chapter with a huge chunk being taken up with the family argument at the beginning, but it definitely sets up some interesting implications. Of course, it seems that Lucius is using the nobles of Laptis as means to obtain the funding and technology he needs to perfect his kaiju research, which I personally believe will culminate in either Gauss or one of the other kaiju seen in Gamera Rebirth, perhaps even Virus. As for Sika, I do find it interesting that she has begun to push herself and is now taking up the challenge of learning all she can about genome manipulation and how to create her own kaiju. Given her gentler approach to most things as opposed to her brother's single-minded quest for revenge, I wouldn't be surprised at all if she goes on to be the one to develop Gamera, as it was the only kaiju not driven by a desire for destruction. Although, that seems fairly straightforward, so maybe the author has a few twists planned in the coming chapters. Anyway, who do you think will be the one to create Gauss, Gamera, and the rest? And let me know what you think of this chapter, as well as the manga and the anime as a whole in the comments below. The next installment is set for a November 3rd release date, which just so happens to coincide with Godzilla Day, so expect some big news here on the channel around that time, so hope to see you then. Take care everyone, hope you have a safe and fantastic day, and as always, thanks for watching.